Gets open for three. Dagger!
The kick, and here it comes. Swing and a miss! And a World Series Game 7 winning Curly W is in the books.
Washington Capitals are the 2018 Stanley Cup champions.
You like that? You like that? I like that.
You gotta like that, right?
My approval ratings keep going up.
Sorry to keep you waiting. Complicated business.
Welcome in. This is Defeating the Curse. We're running the three-man weave. My name is Joe. His name is Stevie on mic 2 and Razzle on mic 3. Welcome back to the show, Razzle. It's been quite a while.
It's good to be back. It's big week, Super Bowl week. I had to make a comeback.
Super Bowl week, but let's start with the NBA trade deadline. Boys, we used to get geeked up for this day when we were younger and when we watched the NBA more religiously than we have in the past. I'm watching the Wizards right now. I told you they're going to lose this game, and they're about to lose this game. And I'm sure we'll come back to this topic several times through over the next 45 minutes to an hour or so. The Wizards did a few things. Let's start with the Wizards. Let's start with the hometown team here, Razzle. The Wizards did get better, but they didn't trade the player that they needed to trade. That's my opinion. You know, I don't know how you feel about it, but I am calling some shenanigans on one Tommy Shepard and Bradley Beal. I think there was a little bit of behind-the-scenes wheeling and dealing that kept him here. I think he was on the trade. I think he was on the trade block, and I don't think the response was there. And I think they said, "Hey, how about you fake this injury and go on injured reserve so we can't trade you, and we don't have to explain to fans why we don't move your terrible contract." And I think that's how we ended up here.
I mean, the timing of the report of him getting the surgery was very suspect. You know, it's trade deadline week. There are a lot of rumors out there. He was in conversations for Ben Simmons going to Philly. I think that anywhere.
Bradley Beal has got to go. He's got to go. He stinks. He stinks.
He doesn't stink.
He's the third option on a decent team. That's the truth. Nobody wants to say it. It's the truth.
And we're going to get to what ended up happening today. But if you have to put him in Philly with Embiid, the shooting that he brings to the table and the playmaking he brings to the table, that they would have been contenders this year. So and you would have been able to bring in a piece and have Ben Simmons, and you build around Ben Simmons. Say what you want about him. He's still a very talented.
Yes,
he's 25. He's still young in his career.
I would rather have Simmons on the Wizards roster than Bradley Beal. Yes.
Right. So, I'm kind of with you. I see where you're going. I'm tracking with you in terms of the
shenanigans.
Shenanigans. The punting it. I mean,
I don't know why everybody's all like down, like, oh, Tommy Shepard. Tommy Shepard was the lead scout during, under Ernie. He was the guy behind Jan Vesely and dozens of shitty picks.
Right, but he also they did a little bit of a salary dump, dumping Montrezl Harrell, dumping Bertans today, who hasn't been doing much.
I mean, I like Montrez personally.
Dinwiddie, because it was clear that it wasn't working out with Dinwiddie. You know,
it wasn't working with him when Brad was on the court. But this team started 10-3 without Brad.
Right, when Brad was right. But I mean, right now, Bradley's the centerpiece of our team. He's what the front office is going to build around. And
but why?
Bringing Kristaps in, who has failed in New York, they hated him in Dallas. Nobody liked playing with him.
He can't stay healthy, man. Like, he misses more games than he plays in.
That's the thing that doesn't make sense to me. Where does he fit in the grand scheme of things? Where does he fit in the plan?
I mean, he's a nice piece. I'm not complaining, but I just the Bradley Beal thing. Look, and Stevie, I know you have a special affinity in your heart for one Gilbert Arenas, okay, for Agent Zero from Once Upon a Time, okay. What Bradley Beal has done to this organization is worse than what Gilbert Arenas did for the better part of 7 or 8 years here, right? Like, Gilbert Arenas, totally, it was a dumpster fire in the last couple of years here, way overpaid, the guns in the locker room and all the shenanigans, whatever. It's a long time ago. Bradley Beal has had this team handcuffed to average. They will never compete with Bradley Beal. And I know people don't want to hear that, but it's the truth. The guy's lazy on defense. His shooting has gone down. He can't hit threes consistently. He complains too much. He's always looking to the refs. He thinks he's a star, and he's not a top 15 guy. He just isn't. And I'm
How much
pissed
is Bradley
that
Beal getting paid?
he's on a max, and the Wizards. This is the insanity. The Wizards are like on their knees begging him to take a supermax deal to stay here, and it's insanity. He's not worth supermax money. He's not.
How many people in this room, virtually, voted for him to get that max deal?
So
At the time, I did, but they
I
also
can
had
very
Wall.
much.
But they also had Wall. They had
But
two pieces. They had two pieces, right? And Brad just couldn't stomach the fact that it was Wall's team, right? And he started all the nonsense behind the scenes. Wall got injured. Wall got traded. Wall's not here. Like that's not our problem anymore. Bradley Beal is not worth supermax money. He's not worth the same as Dame, as Steph, as LeBron. Like he's not that caliber. They can't do this. They can't do this.
So you're in favor of blowing up the team.
Cut Bradley Beal. Do not extend him.
What, Joe?
Then what?
And then-
then we cheer for Kyle Kuzma.
I'd rather listen, man. This team, the Wizards, have basically sucked our entire life, with the exception, like the Wizards. The Bullets had their run. The Wizards had a couple seasons in there. They're just like the Redskins, man, like the Commanders. They had a couple seasons in there. It was fool's gold. They looked like they were on the rise. I mean, they had that one iteration with like Larry Hughes and Gilbert. Then they had the iteration with
Larry
yeah,
Hughes.
like
Jameson. And,
yeah, that
Caron
team
Butler.
balled out, right? That team balled out. And we got excited about them, right? The John Wall, Bradley Beal, Martin Gortat, that team balled out too,
Marcus
right?
Morris.
Beal hated the fact that he was the third option on that team, right? How many dink and dunk passes did
Second
we
option.
see?
What do you-
No, Gortat like lived under the basket on those dink and dunk high screen, screen and roll. But my point is, Bradley Beal, you can't build around him. Nobody wants to play with him, and that's the truth. And he's not worth supermax money. And he very conveniently got injured / became untradeable right at the deadline. If they extend him, like they will never be good. Never.
We'll have to see what happens in the offseason. There's a lot of teams. There's going to be a lot of other moving pieces that you mentioned. Dame earlier. We'll have to see what ends up happening
Joe,
with the Lakers.
Razzle, if the Rockets were willing to move on from James Harden, an MVP, why aren't the Wizards willing to move away from Bradley Beal?
Quit on the Rockets.
Fine, okay.
James Harden quit. I mean, 2 years in a row, he's quit on two different teams.
I mean,
Okay,
Joe,
but he gets
I
to
think
change the
it's-
scenery now.
I think it's such a cop out to say cut Bradley Beal, and like
I mean,
Razzle
they
was saying,
can't cut
and
him,
then
man.
what? I mean, I think I feel for
They
these
don't
front
sell
office
tickets
guys like
anyway.
Tommy
They don't.
Shepard.
Who cares? They don't sell tickets anyway.
It's not
They're-
about selling tickets, it's about fielding
winning.
the team. Like you can't just.
They were
who
10 and
wants
3
to-
without Beal.
Oh come on!
Bro, that's regular season.
What happens? What happens if the Wizards? Okay, what happens if the Wizards, string 6 of 7 or 6 of 9 and actually look like a respectable basketball team without him on the court? Then what?
Are they in contention for the play-in?
No, they're like no, they're not. They're not.
I mean, your contention that the team they would be a better team on the court without Bradley Beal is just ridiculous.
Well, they would
care
be
if they
better.
win 6
They
or
would be
7
better
or-
with more Kuzmas on the roster. Kuzma's serviceable. KCP is serviceable.
Eventually, you're going to get to a point.
I'm done buying the Tommy Shepard hype. Like all he wants to draft is small forwards. We have the most small forward draft picks in like the last 15 years, right? And they're littered all over the league at this point. He's just enamored with the small forward position. I don't get it, man. It goes back forever.
We're only a game and a half out of the play-in right now. So
Let's go. Let's do it.
let's see
right.
how this game turns
Sorry,
out.
listen, I'm done.
Let's see how your non-Bradley Beal Wizards do with the rest after the All-Star
Well,
break.
listen, you keep talking to me about the non-Bradley Beal Wizards. The Bradley Beal Wizards dropped a 40-point lead to a team that was basically me and you. It was a joke.
Off camera, we were just talking about how
If Ted
regular
Leonsis
season-
had balls between his legs, he would have fired the staff, the coaching staff, the marketing staff, everybody. That was beyond embarrassing.
we were just talking about how up and down the NBA regular season is very unpredictable. Stuff like that happens all the time. Yeah, granted, 40-point game, I get it. Let's see what happens with the rest of the season. Because if they make
But that's with the Joker on the court, man. That was Bradley Beal. Forget about Razzle. This isn't. We're not talking about him missing a shot at the buzzer or leading a comeback. He couldn't protect a 40-point lead.
Right.
That's not. You can't have that, man. You can't have that. But look, he's here. Simmons is not. They did offload. Bertans was just I mean, there's no words really to describe.
Out the cap room with that, and it was a smart move.
Okay, I mean, I don't hate it. I did like Montrez though. I thought Montrez, like, he's undersized, but the dude balled out. He played hard every time he was on the court.
Then why did he get traded?
I'm sure Dallas wanted pieces back. I mean,
I heard he punched some guy in the locker room.
Hopefully, it was Bradley Beal.
No, I think it was KCP.
Can we move on to the trades that either the big trade?
Yeah, okay. Let's talk about the big one. Let's talk about get your boy Matt. Get Matt the man here.
Did it happen? And your Lakers and how they're completely gone down.
They're not my Lakers. They're not my Lakers.
Come on.
I can't cheer for LeBron. I'm sorry. Can't do it. Can't do it.
They did nothing, and their plans now are to hit the buyout market and hoping a bunch of folks get bought out and let go. But I don't know who they had a couple. There were a couple offers on the table from what I read. There was a move to do the Russell Westbrook for John Wall Part 2. That was on the table. The Rockets were willing to take on Russell Westbrook, and then they would have taken him on and then basically bought him out, if I'm not mistaken, and then right.
He come back here. I would take him back. That was an MVP candidate. He averaged a triple-double. He led this team.
We were also.
He had this same
moving the team forward.
He had this same crappy roster last year and got them in, made them at least watchable.
But then also there was rumors that the Knicks were trying to put something together.
Okay, but like you said, let's talk about the trades that did happen. Right, we did get a super trade. Right, we did get Harden moves to Philly. Right, and Simmons is moving to the Nets. I mean, I like that deal for both sides. To be honest, I mean, I don't hate it. Ben Simmons, and I'm with you guys. Ben Simmons is a young, marketable, talented basketball player, and I know. I mean, we'll see what he looks like, but maybe putting him in a different city, just with the irony is he's under a much bigger microscope there, right? In New York, but I mean, he can play.
Right, and his responsibilities with the Nets are going to be completely different than his responsibilities when he was the Sixers. He's got two guys who just want the ball in their hands to score. His role is going to be to set them up and to play off of them. That's the perfect scenario for him. I think the Nets got a lot better. The problem is James Harden basically got to a point where he just didn't want to be there. And 2 years in a row, he's quit on a team, and they knew they were going to lose in the offseason because his contract was coming up and he wasn't going to pick up the option. So they knew they had to trade him. And I was surprised because the way that the NBA is now, you got to win now, win now, win now. But they made the move, and I think both teams got better. I think the Sixers got better because they went from having, Ben Simmons wasn't playing for them. He wasn't on the court for him, and he was no way in shape or form coming back to him. So it's like they traded in a sense.
They traded nothing. Curry yeah. It was like a fantasy trade.
For Harden. Yeah.
I mean, the Nets are getting Simmons, Curry, and Andre Drummond.
Yeah,
and
shell of Andre, whatever he is left.
Well, but it's the same, right? And the 76ers are getting Harden. And
that's like he's in tip-top shape himself.
Well,
hey, man.
Let him live, baby. Let him live.
Right now, let's go.
Let him live.
I can give Andre Drummond a run for his money.
Well, I think Paul Millsap is part of that deal too, right? I mean, the ghost of Paul Millsap is part of that deal too.
They also got the Nets got a couple picks in it too, which was pretty
yeah, but honestly, like the picks don't matter in the NBA. Like
they can move it later on in another deal if they wanted to in the offseason.
Yeah,
that's the point. It's an asset.
Yeah,
I can't believe it's Super Bowl week and I'm sitting here talking about this.
No, we're gonna get to it.
I mean, there was some big trades. I mean, we talked about Porzingis and the Dinwiddie swap. I mean, we talked about that trade already. I mean, it was Montrez is going to Charlotte. We talked about that too. What else happened? I mean, Derek White, Josh Richardson, whatever.
Yeah, everything else doesn't matter. We can move on to the Super Bowl. That way we
can I mean, the Sabonis trade was a big deal.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago, but basically the Kings.
I don't know where the Kings came from all of a sudden, right? The Kings are like a forgotten franchise, and all of a sudden we're interested. We want to do this. It's really surprising.
Let's get Stevie back engaged in this conversation.
I mean, this guy's got his legs up. I mean, people can't see, but Steve's about 5 minutes away from falling asleep on us here. I mean,
let's get this guy. Let's talk about the Rams and how my preseason prediction. If we can go back to the tape.
Hey! I picked the Bengals to go to the Super Bowl. Am I going to get some love for that?
I think, yeah. Honestly, yes, you should. And I actually have a track for you that I wanted to play. So let me cue that up, right? But I want you.
Pull the track for week one.
I want you to go ahead, Stevie. Take your victory lap, Stevie. Go ahead.
Hey, I mean, I had two predictions: the Dallas Cowboys and the Cincinnati Bengals. One of them didn't work out. I told you, it ain't the best team that wins the Super Bowl. It's the hottest team. And I said that in reference to the Cincinnati Bengals. And right now they are the hottest team in football. And they have the hottest team in football led by the coolest quarterback in football in cool Joe Burrow. And you know what? They're going to get their ass kicked on Sunday.
Finally.
All right, so what? That's it. You're off the Bengals after all this and after all the hoopla and the victory lap. That's it. You're putting you're tucking your willy. It's done. It's over.
It's you know what? It's the head over heart thing, man. That O line in Cincinnati cannot protect Joe Burrow, and that D line in LA is ferocious. And the over under on sacks, whatever it is, take the over because Aaron Donald is going to have a field day with that O line, and he's a sneaky pick for MVP. You get a couple of strip sack fumbles, you jump up to MVP status.
Razzle, are you not on the Bengals either here? The line has moved. It started at 3.5. It's up to 4.
It's up to 4. In some places, it's 4.5.
4.5.
Oh, give me that 4.5.
You could pick whatever you want. I mean, they have all the alternate spreads on there. But look, the Rams are hungry. The Rams got a bunch of guys who really want this. Aaron Donald talked about it the last week. He's like, I got everything on my resume except the Super Bowl win. Stafford, we know the years of agony.
Well, not everybody on the Rams, right? Von Miller's out there talking about how he's always going to be a Bronco.
I did see that.
What's that guy doing? That guy has no self-awareness, like nothing. He doesn't have a guy in his ear being like, hey, maybe you do that when you retire.
Right. You can retire as a Bronco yet. But yeah, I saw that. But Jalen Ramsey's hungry. Stafford, years of agony with Detroit. This is the place. McVay, I mean, there's a lot of hype around McVay. The McVay coaching tree is now all over the place. But, you know, this is his opportunity to redeem himself from 3 years ago. The Rams are hungry. I just can't see. The problem is I can't see a scenario where they lose. I can't see, you know, Joe Burrow, love him. He's there. He's going to be here for a while. The AFC is going to be, I mean, between him, Josh Allen, Mahomes, we don't need Brady anymore. We don't need Rodgers anymore. We don't need Roethlisberger anymore. Those guys can all, like, we get the new class here. But I cannot see, like, the way the Rams are just clicking and dialed in and laser focused. And let's not forget, I know we're going to laugh about this because this is LA. This is a home game for the Rams. Like, they're sleeping in their beds.
Come on.
What is that?
I wouldn't undervalue that.
None of them sleep in their bed.
They've been home since right after the Tampa Bay game 3 weeks ago.
Do you think the Bengals are uncomfortable in their 5-star Disney World resort?
There's something about sleeping in your own bed and getting to the game, you know, just and driving over to the stadium. It's a home game. I know the Rams don't have any fans.
Razzle, my man. Could you not see a scenario? The only scenario I see the Bengals winning is if they control the running game from the start.
Why can't
Joe Mixon has a monster day?
Joe can have a monster
Stafford
day. Mm-hmm.
has an off day, which is very, very, very likely. That's the only scenario I see.
The difference here is the Rams. Everybody's hyping up their defensive prowess, right? Like they are a very defensive. They're very capable defensively of causing all kinds of craziness, and that's something we haven't seen the Bengals match up against, right? We saw them go up against very, very potent offenses, but not defenses. The Rams, from an offensive perspective, are they equal to the Chiefs? I mean, are they equal to some of the AFC powerhouses that the Bengals have faced? Maybe.
They can be. The problem is in the last 3, like if you look at the Cardinals game, they played a half football the first half, because then they went up big and then they kind of ran out the clock. You look at the Tampa game, they played really well in the first half, and then, you know, allowed Tampa to come back in. And then you look at the Niners game was the opposite. They played second. They haven't played a complete 60 minutes of football. And if they play a complete 60 minutes of football, Bengals have no shot. If they do, if they leave the door open.
What if the Bengals play a complete 60 minutes though? Right? Like we haven't seen the Bengals put together a full 60 minutes either. Right? They came out flat. They came out flat against the Chiefs.
I mean, if you look at the Raiders game, if you go back to the wild card weekend, the whole whistle situation and whatever, they could have lost that game. There wasn't like, and then the Titans game, the Titans gave them that game.
The Rams could have lost the Bucs game.
I think more so than in, you know, other Super Bowls and other games and other matchups. the start of the game is so critical for the Cincinnati Bengals, because if they fall behind and they are forced into obvious passing situations and passing downs, the Rams will just pin their ears back and just go after Burrow, and they will have a field day. They need to keep the running game involved. They need to get ahead. They need to be able to have ball control and control the tempo and time of possession. And I think that's the only scenario that they can win. Rams defense, rush defense, is not good. I don't have a stat in front of me, but if someone could look that up, we need a stat, boy. Okay. But I'm going to go there in the bottom third in rush defense for the season. And so, again, big opportunity. I think Joe Mixon, I think we're sleeping on Mixon. I don't know his odds for MVP, but
the case for for the Bengals includes, like, their offensive line sucks. You made that point. And if they get the running game going and they're able to relieve some pressure on that offensive line, so that way they're not in pass, like the Rams, if they know they're passing, they're going to be rushing, they're going to rush it. If they can build that running game up and keep the Rams on their feet, that's the case for them winning. I see that.
And it's not just getting the running game going. Like we're thinking of like John Riggins and Joe. I mean, it's not getting they can do short passes, screen passes, misdirections. So it doesn't need to be
Samaje P.
I got a shout out in Super Bowl.
Samaje P, former Redskin, former Commander.
Do we got any Commanders playing in the game besides Samaje?
McVay. Playing in the game,
Samaje.
There's got to be some Junko lineman or something.
I can't think of anyone.
John Jansen not in the game, or where is there?
No, I can't think. The only one I can think of is Samaje.
I'm saying if the Bengals can get creative.
you don't think I think the Bengals can do it. I think they can do it, especially as the game where, like, if they are successful in controlling the clock and wearing them down just a little bit. I mean, we saw the Rams get very leaky defensively against a less talented Bucs offense, right?
Yeah. I mean, of course, the Bengals, again, the intangible part of it is they're playing with house money. So yeah, the Rams have a home game, Razzle. Absolutely, they're playing in front of their home crowd. There's a little more pressure there. They're expected to win.
They don't have a crowd, guys. LA's.
You're right. Well, it's a corporate
those two
audience
teams.
Anyway,
those two teams are trying to build a fan base in a city that doesn't want them. Like doesn't need more teams to. I mean, they're oversaturated. I mean, they're just the truth.
You're saying Cincinnati doesn't have a fan base?
No, I'm saying the Chargers and the Rams. Like they're trying to like force this LA fan base to care about them. They don't. Like they just don't. I mean, they'll get there eventually, and the Super Bowl will help, of course.
But everyone from St. Louis hates them, so you're not going to get the crowds from St. Louis who's going to travel to LA because they're
of course,
legacy Rams fans. So they spent the last 5-6 years trying to build a fan base out there, and like you said, nobody cares.
But it is. I mean, but what they've done is impressive as a franchise, though, right? I mean, it wasn't that long ago that it was Jeff Fisher at the helm, and they were kind of going nowhere, right? So I mean, they've.
I mean, our boy McVay.
Sure. I mean, McVay. I mean,
built a wedding culture, and
trading a serviceable quarterback for a kind of a slinger, a gunslinger that is somewhat of an unknown commodity, even though he was very proven in the regular season. I mean, how much of that creeps into Stafford's head, though? Like he's never had to play at this level, or he's never been given the opportunity to play on this type. Like there's no reps here, right? It's not like he's made it a couple times and failed to move on.
Right.
Like this is, I mean, he's also playing with house money, right? Like he's got at least another one or two.
He's got the pressure. If Joe Burrow goes and loses this game, no one's gonna say he failed, right? He just say he didn't have a good game. Like you said, the
Bengals aren't expected to win.
They're not expected to win, and they're not.
But what a story! What a story if they do, man. There's 17 teams, 18 teams in the league that are gonna, just. The fan bases, I feel like more fan bases are pulling for the Bengals. Like I'm pulling for the Bengals.
Everybody's cheering for that stadium will be a corporate audience, and they will be cheering for the underdog Bengals. And if the Bengals give them something to cheer about,
but Stevie, you agree that most of the country is cheering for the Bengals.
Of course. The
underdog
story.
story.
Why would we cheer for the Rams? Why would we cheer for the Rams?
I'm cheering for the Rams.
Everybody hates LA.
Here's the thing: if the Rams win, do we see more teams going through this like route of trade the draft picks?
Yeah, no draft picks.
They traded draft picks for Jalen Ramsey. They traded draft picks for Matt Stafford, Von Miller, Odell. Oh, no, sorry, Odell. They didn't trade draft picks. They just signed them. They did a couple of years before that too with other guys that didn't work out. I remember they had like a keep to leave Marcus Peters at one point. Do we see more teams going in that model?
Razzle, who drew the playbook for that model is the 2000 Commanders.
Are we getting to the Dan Snyder segment of the show?
It was the 2000 Commanders. We drew that playbook, okay? You think before Jalen Ramsey there was Neon Dion primetime, okay? That's what we did. This is not something new. It just worked with Sean McVay and the Rams. Us.
Well, they're all bought in, but they also can't keep that group together for much longer, right? Like they've all restructured contracts and it's very similar to what the Buccaneers have.
Out of it, you don't need to.
Yeah,
of course. Yeah. I mean, I agree. There's more pressure on the Rams to get this done because their team will not be intact. The Bengals will probably be 80%, 90% intact to come back again, and they'll improve.
The Bengals will probably be. I think the presence of Joe Burrow there and what they're building there will attract. Like nobody wants to go play for Cincinnati. How many times have you seen like a free agent go and sign with like nobody wants to go play there? But having a presence of that type of quarterback there, like that may become a free agent destination. Say, hey, I want to go play with Joe.
Who's the front office guy in LA?
It's
in McVay's LA.
Yeah,
I could look it up.
I just while you do that, I think. What cojones on whoever that is and McVay to give up Goff and essentially give up a quarterback who they took him to the Super Bowl, right?
3 years ago. Yeah, 3 years ago.
To give up a guy and take a chance on Stafford, who is a gunslinger and he's great, but has never had any playoff success. I mean,
Les Snead and Tony Pastors.
Never heard of the first guy. I never heard of the second guy, but I mean, Les Snead, that's quite a risk. I mean, this could have really backfired in their face. They go all in.
If they had lost to the Niners, it would have been a failure. They had lost to Tampa, had come back and won, it would have been a failure.
Exactly. So I don't think this is a model that can be replicated. I think it's very risky.
Right, but I'm saying if they win and they prove that it worked.
No, I don't know if you're going to see a lot of it, Razzle, because like there's not a lot of teams that have enough foundational pieces in place to go do that, right? Like if you don't have a quarterback, maybe you go all in for a quarterback. I mean, that's the talk here, right? Is trade everything, trade everybody to get a known commodity, to get a known quarterback, right? To get Russell, to get whatever.
The latest rumor I saw. Your boy,
please, man.
Jonathan Allen was taking pictures of them at the Pro Bowl and tweeting about it.
Hey, Jonathan Allen, a little busy on Twitter, okay? He's a little busy on Twitter and he's having dinner. His granddaddy's in an uncomfortable dinner situation.
I mean, do you honestly see Russell coming here? Why would he? There's no reason to.
No, there's no weapons in place. There's
absolutely.
You guys act like these athletes really care that much about winning.
No, they do. They care about the legacy.
I think Russ cares.
They care about the legacy.
I don't see him leaving.
An extra $10 million. You think for an extra $10 million, he's going to drop?
He's going to get the same money no matter where he goes. The money's not. He's going to get the same money. It's a matter of building a like we were just talking about this the other day. Like Russell Wilson made it to the Super Bowl in 2013, and his defense won him the Super Bowl. He didn't really do anything, and then got the opportunity to go back next year, and hasn't been back since. He's either one court. Like a lot of these guys that are still playing only have one win, and they're trying to like get to that point where like the guys retire Roethlisberger, Eli, like the multiple Super Bowls, to build that Hall of Fame, case
resume. Well, I mean, Russ seems like the perfect fit in DC because he's going to be a total failure.
What?
I mean, I think Russ needs the perfect defense, the perfect run game, and the perfect environment to be a really good quarterback. And he would have none of that here in Washington, and it would be an utter abject failure.
I mean, we'll have to see how the quarterback dominoes go this offseason. I mean, we know the first one was Aaron Rodgers, and then we'll see what happens with Jimmy G. We have to see what happens with obviously Russ and a couple other guys who may be on the move. So,
are you either of you down with drafting a quarterback in the first round?
Yes.
Are we talking about taking a project?
I think you have to.
but
I've said this before. I think every
team
team in the league should always be drafting 2 quarterbacks every single year. Use your 5th and 7th round picks or whatever.
First round is different.
Yeah,
fourth round.
Yes, you have to. Yes, you have to.
Is, from what I'm not a college football expert by any means, but
nobody is a college football expert.
My point, the names that I've seen, there's not a lot. This is not a 2018 where we had like Baker and Josh Allen, a Lamar draft, or even a couple years. But like there was no Joe Burrow in this draft. There's no like Andrew Luck in this draft. There's no.
Yes, and that's why when those guys become available, you have to trade everything to go get them.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like there's nobody in here worth trading up for.
I agree. Maybe Kenny.
From what I've seen, from what I've heard, I don't know.
But Stevie, they don't have an option. Like they're more likely to have the same quarterbacks they have right now on the roster in the spring or in the summer than adding. Jimmy would be my bet. Like if you could have anybody, I think he's the one. I think he's the one I'd rather see.
God. You would rather him over Derek Carr.
Yeah. Jimmy's the winner.
Oh,
I mean, I like Derek too, but I don't know why Derek. Why would Oakland? Why would Vegas lose Carr? Why would they get rid of him? There's no need.
I don't know. I read that he's going to be around.
No, Jimmy's expendable because they've got another guy that they've drafted very high sitting behind him. Like, and he's on the last year. I don't see why Carr would be moved from Vegas. It doesn't make sense. Like he's the face of the franchise. He pulled him through a crazy season with the Gruden stuff and the Ruggs stuff. Like he's not tradable to me.
He is when you have a brand new coach who's going to be building his own a
coach who flamed out in the same division before and then ran back to his papa, right? That's what happened with McDaniel, right? He went and screwed around.
He didn't go straight. Yeah, and then he bailed on the Colts too, which I mean.
Yeah, but he left the Pats, went to the Broncos, dicked around for 2 seasons, and then went right back to the Pats.
He didn't dick around. He drafted Tim Tebow. All right, he got a playoff win under Tim Tebow.
All right,
no.
He inherited him, but I think that was Rick. It was John Fox. But you can't have that guy making quarterback decisions. He had Tom Brady. There's only one Tom Brady.
I mean, maybe he called Jimmy G back. Jimmy G was his boy.
Are we going to do some Super Bowl predictions, or are we going to dick around here?
Sorry, we get to digress. Let's go. Are we putting?
I'm going Bengals. Give me that 4 points. Give me the 4. I'll take the 4. Oh yeah. I know the Rams are a better team, but they're not a touchdown better.
But you give me a score and a final.
Give me Bengals. Actually, I like the Bengals to win. I'm going to go Bengals 37.
Oh.
Rams.
No.
Rams.
This is like his Commanders
24
prediction.
37-24.
So,
Cats.
Hey, guys, I still listen to him, and I don't know if you guys. I know you guys probably don't. Bill Simmons. He has all these
Don't care about Bill Simmons.
Manifestos. He says
stop plugging the competitors.
Yeah, who gives a shit about Bill Simmons? Who's still listening to Bill Simmons? I care about Joe Rogan. I care about him getting canceled.
He's not getting canceled. He's good.
I think he might get canceled.
He's not getting canceled.
Okay, I think Spotify is weak. I think Spotify's they're getting a little leaky on the subscriber count.
No, they'll be fine. They'll come back. People will forget about it.
What, Stevie? Tell your boys over at Rumble to make it happen. Yeah, Rumble. Let's get the Rumble money going.
You want Rogan to get canceled, but he won't.
I don't want him to get canceled. I think people should be allowed to say whatever they want. You should be accountable for what you say. He
didn't say.
I know we're going back to Super Bowl prop bets over here. Okay.
I mean, look, I don't think he should be canceled. I don't think anyone should be canceled for having an opinion. I don't respect the people that go through the archives of everything that's been spoken. The guy speaks for 3 hours a day, 5 days a week. Like, you can't go back and pull everything.
Your first sentence is not true, by the way. There are opinions that should have you canceled. The Holocaust didn't happen. That is not me saying that, just for the record.
You shouldn't be
I'm giving an
canceled for
example.
your stupid take. And no, it's not your
That is
take.
an
but-
example
No.
of something that should
Oh,
cancel
baby.
someone.
Like our boy Clay Travis, like my boy Clay Travis says, right?
Oh
Like
my God.
First
I just
First
follow him on
Amendment,
Twitter.
First
He's too
Amendment,
much.
and boobs. You can say whatever you want. You could be stupid. It could be wrong. You can say what you
Guys
want.
chasing down Gavin Newsom and the governor of San Francisco and Stacey Abrams. Everyone not wearing a mask. He's like the mask police now.
Well, he's just calling them out on their hypocrisy, right, Razzle?
No, I mean, no, he's got good points on that.
Okay. I mean, what's he doing? He's just
The-
calling
the-
out. He's just
the-
calling it. Your girl AOC is like, she's wearing her fucking hijab when she's up here in DC, and then she goes down to Florida and she's wearing a bikini, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, look at her face.
Hey, they
Where's your
kicked her off
mask,
of
lady?"
Twitter, man. She got off of Twitter.
She had to. She had to. Like, there's eyeballs everywhere. You can't. This whole adage of like do what I tell you and not what I'm doing or whatever it is. I know I'm butchering it. It's late, but
Do as I say and not as I do.
yeah, whatever. Okay, like all of these left leaning politicians, and there's some on the right too. They all should get called out for this bullshit. Like, we can't have this anymore. Like, it's 2 years of this
I'm sorry,
nonsense.
I was just going back to your first point. Is free speech?
What?
is-
So Chappelle can't make jokes anymore. Comedians can't tell jokes.
Again, I'm just saying there are limits.
Why?
Joe Rogan and none of the persons you just mentioned have crossed those limits. I'm just saying, I think it's too simplistic to say there are no limits. Everything should be covered under free speech. I don't think that's an accurate statement. That's all I'm saying.
I'm saying I'm
I don't know
uncomfortable
why
with
I'm in
limits on free
the
speech.
side of
but-
defending someone being canceled, but I'm just saying we need to be reasonable on both sides.
Well,
Can we
but
go
the
back to prop
but the
bets?
reasonable thing,
Can we
Stevie,
get
right, is don't have stupid takes, right? Like, that would be the reasonable thing: is be educated and don't say stupid things. But if you want to say stupid things, you're allowed to.
Okay, well, I think that the election was stolen in 2020 is a stupid take.
I mean, yeah, it's a stupid take, but that can be your take. We'll judge you for it, but that can be your take.
Right, but that's different than saying what I.
You shouldn't lose your
previously
job.
said.
You shouldn't lose your job for it, though. Right?
Yeah, but that's different than my previous example, which I won't repeat. That stuff should get you canceled. It's offensive to an entire group of people.
Thought this was a sports show, people.
All right, I'll give you my Super Bowl prediction.
We'll just start using the beep button.
Yeah, come on, let's go. Let's go. We're losing people. People
I'm
stop
going
listening.
Rams 34-27.
34-27. All right, so that covers the 6-7.
Yeah,
No, they cover. They cover.
Bengals cover.
No. The Bengals don't cover.
Right. What I was planning on putting in.
Wait, what'd you say, Stevie?
34-27.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, it's 28-24. It's 28-24. Rams.
No, I like the Bengals.
It's a good one.
All right, let's do it. All right, let's see what happens.
Any prop bets? What's the Joe Burrow rushing line? I think I saw it at 16.
Joe loves a good. He loves a good.
Oh, it was always my
quarterback
Brady.
rushing
It was my
line.
Brady. It was always the Brady bet, right? It was like
Brady
plus or
took
minus
the
2.5.
over times in the playoffs. Yeah,
Right?
yeah. Hold on, I'm looking at it right now for you.
I think for
I saw
Burrow
a
it was
good one,
9.5, which is low.
Skrolinek 50-yard reception.
I saw a prop bet for longest catch for either team, plus or minus 42.5 yards. Kind of like the under on
Joe
that.
Burrow
easily take
rushing
the
at
over.
10.5.
Take the over. You think OBJ's got one long one in him, or Cup?
Or Cooper or Jamal.
Cup or Jamar, yeah.
Or
Jamar catch
Cup's
and run.
Cup. This at the beginning of the week, Cup had a 11.5 reception line prop bet. That's a big number.
P. Ryan over under 2.5 rushing guards. I
Take
think I'm
it.
taking over there.
Oh yeah. Samaje weighs like 400 pounds. You can get.
I love me Sabaje.
You're not cheering for him? You're not cheering for Samaje?
Gruden's boy.
He was. That's right.
Wasn't he
did
in
something
the?
with
Wasn't
Jay
he
Gruden.
in that video when they're just sitting in the street, smoking J's? Wasn't Samaje in that
thought
video?
Jay
Oh,
Gruden-
with Jay, probably.
I thought Jay Gruden slept with Samaji's girl, or the other way around.
No, it wasn't Samaje's girl.
Samaji's guy.
No, it was no.
I'll
But
give
listen. But hold on, Stevie. Speaking about Club J for a second here. Only coach for the Redskins football team Commanders to have back-to-back winning seasons under Dan Snyder.
Well, he had Captain Kirk, the only guy to have.
But just think about that.
Actually, no, that's a huge.
That's a crazy stat.
Yeah.
He's the only one to have back-to-back winning seasons under Dan Snyder.
Shanny only had one winning season.
Yes, and he had one, and then his last, and then an 8-8, and then his last season was 3-13.
His last season was bad. Yeah.
Yeah, but your boy Gruden went 8-7, and then 8-6-1, I think.
But he doesn't have a job now, I heard he was interviewing for something. No, he was interviewing for the Panthers offensive coordinator job and didn't get it. But he's not out of the league right now. I mean, he's probably because it's linked to his brother now.
Well, yeah, I mean that's not going to end anytime soon. But look,
I want a good MVP. Give me, I think Von Miller and Aaron Donald. I don't know.
Defensive MVPs are very rare in the Super Bowl.
I think
Malcolm Butler was the last one. Actually, it was a long time ago.
You know who was the first one?
Malcolm Butler.
Come on, Razzle.
No,
brother. No.
Ray Lewis.
No.
Also known as the guy with lesser stats than London.
What year are you going back to?
90s, early.
Early 90s.
I actually don't remember his name, but the Cowboys cornerback.
Leon Lett.
No, it was like I'll look it up while y'all say.
No, I mean, we remember Dexter Jackson won in 2002. Obviously, when the Seahawks
I thought
won
Malcolm. That was not the Seahawks.
It was a random linebacker. I don't remember his name. The problem, though, is in Virginia,
Bobby Wagner.
You can't bet on MVPs and awards.
Larry Brown. I'm sorry.
Hell of a coach. Hell of a basketball coach. That guy.
We would have to go back to our roots on Bovada in order to get.
I'm not. We can't go back to Bovada, Joe. Bovada, that ship has sailed.
The first one was Richard Dent for the '85 Bears.
Okay.
But basically MVP bets aren't allowed in Virginia, so we'd have to.
But if you were gonna take one, it's gonna be one of the offensive sillies.
Yeah, I think
I'm gonna take Burrow.
I think the odds on a non-quarterback was like plus 240. So anyone was plus 240. We could drive over to Pennsylvania and see if we can put that bet in.
Nah.
Never a good reason to drive to Pennsylvania.
I mean, Razzle's there all the time, though.
Are we going to talk about Dan Snyder?
We should talk about it. So, I mean, the DC curse has been alive and well for many, many, many moons. Did you? I mean, first of all, did you guys have an opinion or a strong feeling one way or the other about Commanders? Love it, hate it, don't care.
I hated it.
You still hate it now, a week later?
I still hate it a week. Yeah, I'm gonna hate it for a couple years.
What name did you want, Razzle?
I wanted. If it were up to me, I would have said something like Warhogs. Yeah, something that kind of kept part of the tradition. Okay, I know they didn't want to keep like the red because it's part of, whatever, like Red Wolves. I like Red Wolves, but something like Hogs or Warhogs or something like that would have been great. I saw a couple of logos up there on the internet that would have been nice, but something that's like gives you still a little bit connection to the old, culture. And it's just Commanders. Just there's no nickname. There's nothing.
There's no nickname.
Like.
And FB pointed out last week too, like your boy Snyder had that registered like 30 minutes before the original press conference 2 years ago, right? Like this is all charade. And all these mouthpieces and all the process, and we went through all this stuff.
That's the problem.
And I said this last week, and honestly, I feel strongly about this, more strongly than I did before. If they had come out right away and said, our name in 2 seasons will be the Commanders, and we want the fans to help us come up with the logo and come up with a design and come up with the uniforms and all that stuff, I think we would hate it a lot less. Or people in general. I don't hate it, but I think people in general would be more invested in it.
You took 2 years to come out with come up with Commanders.
No, it was all charade, man. It was all charade.
Right. If you had gone from Redskins directly to Commanders, it probably would. I mean, it probably would have sucked, but it would have sucked.
I mean, Commanders for most people is so bad that they prefer football team. Yeah. Like not having a name. Stevie, did you care about Commanders?
About the national media that we don't have a name, or
by the way, the pandering to the national media by sending out Letterman jackets, it's such a Dan Snyder thing. Yeah. If I send them stuff, they'll talk nicely about me.
Let's not miss the forest for the trees here, guys. Come on. The name doesn't matter. It's a stupid name. They're all stupid names. So's the Los Angeles Lakers. So's the whatever, Utah Jazz, or whatever is nonsense. There's tons of stupid names. What was more embarrassing and more of a debacle is the rollout itself, the amateurness of it, the Jason Wright, who's a complete disaster.
He might be worse. He might be worse than
is the
Goose.
worst. And then sitting next to Doug. Hey, Doug, tell him what the name is.
Tell him, Doug. Tell him, Doug. You tell him, Doug.
Then you got the Good Morning, not the Good Morning America, the Today guy with the
ha-ha, there it is.
And Jonathan Allen, who looked completely miserable. As someone who did a rebranding for his own organization, I mean, the rollout of this, it would have been awesome. They made a great video, which I don't know if everyone saw. I saw it on Instagram. Yeah. It's a great video. I mean, it would have been great if they, come into FedEx Live. They hype up the name a little bit. They say, we've been, doing this. And now the new name is, and then the video cuts. And then Jonathan Allen comes out in the jerseys, which, look very nice. I know everyone's got their critiques of it, but have an actual rollout. You're going to waste time on the Today Show. At least do something proper. The team's a debacle. The team's a joke. The next day, Dan Snyder is not a joke anymore. He's an actual criminal. So it goes from bad to worse.
Are they going to Donald Sterling him?
Yeah, they have to.
Yeah, they have to.
They have to.
But
today was I think today, February 10th is the beginning of the end of Dan Snyder. The league has now started to separate itself from him.
Yes,
and launching his own investigation. Even Goodell, who has no cojones anymore.
Yeah, he's been neutered.
I don't see how a team can investigate themselves.
Yeah. But Snyder after the hearing last week was like, I'm retained an attorney to investigate the allegations against him. It's what you do when you think people believe what you say, right? And I'm not going to pick on Stevie's guy Brandon at 1600 Pennsylvania, but it's very similar to what he does, right? Which is just like, I'm getting sick and tired of people not doing what I tell them to do because I know it's better for everybody.
Razzle is a closet Brandon fan. Don't just call me out, okay? Razzle, don't sit there, okay?
I haven't seen much.
I think
Razzle just got more money than I do. That's why he's not supporting Brandon, okay? That's the only reason. Okay, he's trying to get in that tax bracket.
I'm mad he could have passed that Build Back Better. Would have helped us all out on our taxes this year.
Brothers like me need that handout, okay? That's why we're cheering for Brandon.
You don't need a handout. POS. You don't need a handout for anything.
You don't need a handout. You're good.
No. Writing's on the wall, like you said, Joe.
It's
the beginning
this
of the
is
end.
It.
For,
I think
this
is the first time we have seen Rodger, who, to your point, Razzle, has no balls. He's been neutered. Yeah. He was neutered many years ago, but this is the first time we've seen him publicly basically start to distance himself from one of the owners, in this case Snyder, and he's going to have to do it. I mean, and we've said it before. I mean, Major League Baseball forced the owners of the Dodgers to sell the team because they weren't going to let their brand get dragged through the mud. Donald Sterling, I mean, the players are the ones that forced, remember the shirts, right, and I'm not playing for this asshole, whatever. I mean, that's what forced the league, because Silver wasn't going to do anything. I mean, Silver, he's, whatever. But now,
I mean, the NBA is a much more progressive league and a much more player-friendly league.
But the irony is that the NBA can't, their TV rights are huge, but nobody cares. Like, the NBA is more pop culture. Like, it's just more invested in a much younger generation that actually doesn't care about sports. No one actually we really don't watch the NBA religiously like we did when we were significantly they're on the cutting edge of social media, but the ratings are crap. I mean, the worst football game dunks on everything else, right? It's just the way it is.
Pro Bowl.
Yo, we didn't even talk about the Pro Bowl was a joke. They should be, the NFL should be embarrassed by that product.
Be embarrassed because 6.7 million people watched it.
I love football. I couldn't watch that.
I couldn't show it to my kids. My kids are now into football. They wanted to watch football. I had to turn it off to not.
I don't know a single person who looked at that and was like, "It's fine."
Can we clarify what happened at the Pro Bowl? The players decided unilaterally to not tackle one another. It was a tackle football game. And then the players just decided we're not tackling. And then the refs had to stop the plays when they two-hand touched them. It was not. I had someone tell me it was supposed to be a 2-hand touch game. I said, you're crazy.
No.
It was a regular tackle football game.
Until people stop watching it, they're going to keep doing it. But did you see the skills challenges?
But even if they stop
legit.
watching it, Razzle, they can't make the players tackle each other.
Exactly.
They're gonna cancel the game.
They completely changed the format of it. I mean,
yeah, it would
I
be.
don't know if you
I
could
think
do
it would be
something-
cool. You can have like an award show or something where all the all pro team comes out and everybody takes a lap. But on the field, make it like 3-on-3 or like 5-on-5 with 2 down linemen. Something like
different.
that we would
Or
play
move the skills challenge to the actual Pro Bowl and do a little bit more. I mean, they had the cool like catch contest that they did the day before, and the throwing of the at the targets and stuff.
I mean, Russ killed
That
it.
was cool.
Russ killed
Those
it.
are
was
cool
cool.
events. I mean, it's better than a game that doesn't matter. That the players are just there to get their checks, and nobody
But
actually shows up for it. I mean,
Yeah, nobody cares. But it was in Vegas too. Like you're right. Nobody shows up for it. But is it that much different than every other sports all-star game or
no,
whatever?
I mean, come on, the NBA.
There's no
like,
defense. It's like 180 to 185. Like
but
they're not playing
They
either.
make a weekend out of it. They make it a spectacle.
Yeah.
Like All-Star Weekend is like something that.
I mean, hockey's like
that-
3-on-3. Baseball, I guess, is
Baseball's the
similar.
Yeah,
I mean,
baseball does it well actually.
best. Yeah, you get a
The
home
home
run derby,
run
which
derby,
is
like-
amazing.
But
And then you
the
get,
game
you know-
itself is a game.
No, but you get to see, Scherzer versus Judge.
Do
I mean,
you
that's-
still
that's
decide the?
But
Do you still decide? You don't decide the home team anymore, right?
No, they
with
got
the
rid of
winner.
that.
But
But,
the
I'm sorry.
experience of it, the whole like show, like Pro Bowl comes at a point where it's like, I know it used to be after the season and everyone hated that, and then they moved it up into the gap week between the championship and the Super Bowl. But they gotta find a way to either just get rid of it completely and just like
They have to. That was an unwatchable product.
right.
But
They have to get
I'm
rid
sorry.
of it.
Moving away from the Pro Bowl, I wanted to go back to that Dan Snyder because I would like your thoughts. This is an existential question, I understand, but when we talk about Goodell and Snyder, I've always wondered, do the owners work for the commissioner or does the commissioner work for the owners?
The commissioner works for the owners.
Yeah,
The commissioner reports to the owners.
Yes.
correct.
So and that was what I was trying to get at. And the idea that Roger Goodell stood up to one of his bosses, 1/30th of his bosses or 1/32nd of his bosses is a pretty remarkable thing and shows you how far Dan Snyder has dropped. I mean, Dan Snyder he runs one of the most profitable franchises. Not like he's, Steven Ross or whatever, the Dolphins. He owns one of the most profitable franchises in his league. For Roger Goodell to do that, I have to think Dan Snyder will begin to plan an exit strategy.
Yeah, and Roger must know that he has the backing of other owners.
That was not a unilateral decision.
Yeah, he called Jerry to see what he thought. He called, Robert Kraft. Like all the big shot owners are really who are running the league. So he's not doing that without the assurance that they have his back and that they want to get rid of Stan Snyder.
He's bad for business.
This is not like a one-time incident. This isn't this is just a repeat, over and over. Oh, it's tarnishing the image of the league. It's tarnishing the image of the owners.
He has tarnished the image of the league, and frankly, the Redskins are no more, and the football team, the history of the Redskins ended, right? Like that era is over. I don't care what they say. The Commanders are not connected to the Redskins, and he literally single-handedly destroyed one of the legacy franchises he tarnished a worldwide brand. And now, ironically, rebranding as the Commanders, he doesn't care at all about the DMV fans. He's going out of his way to court everyone else, right? Sending the jackets all over.
The problem is they let him. Obviously, he was part of the name process, obviously, and now we have the whole stadium situation. Now that they got the name out of the way, and Youngkin's lobbying for Virginia, and
Youngkin's my boy.
Bowser trying to get
girl.
trying to bring him back to
Stevie, did you fully defect
To the Republican Party? No.
I don't care about Republican. I'm just saying, it seems like you've abandoned your blue ways.
Hey, when you see
I mean, it's
The guy
okay.
was
I'm
yelling at
gonna
the
take
other
that
day
as
for
a
wearing
yes.
a mask at a restaurant.
Brother, what they're doing to my city, I love DC. I am DC through and through. What they've done to my city with the masks, with COVID, with crime, can't support that, brother.
Okay.
No, they gotta.
I'm not trying to be a dick about it. I'm just asking.
No, I love my city, and it's no coincidence that these policies are creating these cities. I mean, should we talk about the inflation report that came out today? 7.5%. I mean,
It's
It's a bad day.
it's a regular day for
there's
this
no
administration.
there's no undoing it. Like, we're all smart people here. How do you undo 7.5% inflation? You can't.
Yeah, but how does it end? Play the tape out to the end.
We turn into some nondescript African country with funny money. Just keep printing more money.
Well, I think the printing of money has ended, hopefully. So that part is.
I mean, you got the feds talking about raising interest rates by a point, right?
5.5%, 6%.
Yeah, the way, like, Americans don't save money. People generally are stretched thin because everything is more expensive than it was. And this is not, I'm not talking specifically houses. I'm talking like groceries, just normal stuff.
Mm-hmm.
A full point on the on interest is, I mean, that's a big move, guys. That's a big move.
It's a gradual move, though. They're not going to.
I mean, Joe, you're the real estate guru here. I mean, by the end of the year, where would interest rates be sitting? 5.5?
I mean, that's the end of that's the end of the world, honestly. Like right now, so 3 weeks ago.
Why, Joe? I mean, 20 years ago, it was 6%. I mean,
yeah, okay. When our parents bought houses were at 18.
I get it.
Well, they were more. Well, forget about the dollar amount. They were the interest was like around 18%, but the price of the house equated to about 3 to 3.5 times your salary
income.
Yeah. Okay. Today in Metro DC, like we all grew up basically in Metro DC, right? So around the time our parents were buying their first house, mid 80s, let's say, your house cost was 3x your income. So if you earned 50, you were buying homes around 150, 160. Today, if you earn 100K in the DC metro area, you are aggressively shopping, praying, hoping to get a property around 6x your income at a 3% interest rate. That's literally like 3 months ago. When the interest rate goes from 3% to 4%, or from 2% or 2.5% to 3.5% on a 15, I don't know why anybody's doing a 15, but some people do, your buying power goes down considerably, right? By almost a fifth. So 100, if you earn 100K and you're shopping at 600 at a 3.25 and the rate goes to 4.25, now your same income really only supports a 500-ish property, which there aren't any, right? So now you've been priced out because the people that were previously shopping at 700K are going to buy up everything below, which means now you're qualified to 5 and you're going to go down into the 3s and bid back up to the 4s. So it's very hard for someone who's not in the industry to understand like the true housing shortage that we're in right now and how it trickles down into everything else, right? Because most people, again, they don't save money. They bank on their house appreciating in value, which it is. It is, right? But it's not liquid to the point that you can spend it for your kids' education or to buy. And if you start leveraging equity in your home to buy depreciating assets like cars, and in some instances, even education, right? Like some people will pull equity out of their house to pay for their kids' private schooling. In that circumstance, that education is actually a depreciating asset because you can't get a return on it. You have to find you have to pay all this back somehow. So if your property value, what we saw in 2008, 2007, 2008, 2009 for a little bit, is basically people were overextending the equity in their homes. Banks could no longer underwrite, more or less, and the market collapsed, right? Like we're not going to get back to that point because the difference now is people can't do that legally. And generally speaking, people in the DC metro area, I'll just talk about DC specifically, they earn a whole lot more than they used to before. Like DC metro is unlike anywhere else in the country, right? It's
Absolutely.
Home. It's amazing, actually. It's home to the most people under 35 earning over $140,000 a year. Just think about that. It's crazy. Everyone here's
tons
got
of
cash.
money in this area.
Yeah.
But you have to assume that the $700,000 house in a market where interest rates are 5.5%, 6%, might not be valued at $700,000.
It's going to be significantly less because nobody can get there.
But then the people that can get there are the people that bring a couple $100,000 of cash to the table.
And why are they spending their cash? Because cash in the bank is a depreciating asset.
Because of course.
Right. Your
Exactly.
money today sitting in a bank account, unless it's earning, even if it's earning 1%, even if it was, Razzle, you're still losing because inflation is outpacing the what? Like people like, it's just, when you really take a step back and think about, well, I have X in 401k and I have X saved and I have this and this and this. If you don't earn another penny today from this point forward in your life, what you have saved probably lasts 1/3 of the time that you need it to because of the hyperinflation. And that's the real problem right now is the value of money. It's decreasing rapidly. And again, in my business, there's a lot of people that call me like, oh, I have all this money. I want to buy investment properties. Like, oh, okay. It's not going to make enough money quickly enough for you to it's very hard right now.
And Donald Trump will do nothing about that.
Well,
all comes back around.
I don't believe we would see 7% inflation under Donald Trump.
Stop it.
Because I think it's it's a
Donald's
bigger.
The one who started giving out all the money to cause all this.
He also wanted to quickly get away from lockdowns and resume life, right? I mean, he was also pushing for, like, he was the one that promised the vaccine and delivered, right? Like, those things happen too.
You act like he was in a lab doing the.
No, I'm not giving him all the credit. I'm just saying, like, you do have to admit that how he ran the country is different than how it's being run today. Like, people are still afraid of their shadows 2 years later from COVID. People are still like, mask your kids and mask your wife and mask your whatever.
That's not had nothing to do with Brandon. That is a
no
media creation.
But that's those are Brandon's people, Stevie. What rock are you living on? What do you not remember? Do you not remember the election cycle when point blank Brandon was asked about the vaccine, which at that point was a Trump thing, and he said, "Oh, we have to test to see if it's effective before we inject it." And now 2 years later, he's like, "Why don't people trust me? Why don't people trust the government to just give them the vaccine? Is it the Republicans that aren't vaccinated, or is it the Democrats? Is it the white wealthy Americans that are being that are unvaccinated? Are they the majority, or is it the lower socioeconomic classes that are largely represented by the Democratic Party that are unvaccinated? Are vaccination rates higher or lower in the city versus outside?
It's uneducated, poor, white, and African American people. It has nothing to do with race. It's about people that are getting misinformation.
I think there are more unvaccinated registered Democrats than Republicans.
Joe, that's because the African American community historically has been hesitant about vaccines.
Okay,
nothing to do with COVID and all that.
But our current leadership in the White House should be able to get that group moving towards vaccination. Assuming and then all this, and I need to preface this, all of this assumes that the vaccine is the answer to the society's problems, which it's not. Right?
It is the answer.
Big stepping.
It's not. The vaccine doesn't teach people about money or how to save or how to work hard.
I meant the COVID answer.
Joe.
Well, okay, but COVID didn't impact people's ability to work or want to work. I mean, maybe it did.
Impacted people's ability to want to work.
Yes. People couldn't go to work because nobody was going to do anything, and there was no work to do.
I'm saying in parts of this country, COVID ended like 6 months after it started, and everybody moved on.
Correct.
And then there's other parts of the country that are still treating it like it's the end of humanity.
Wait, what part of the country moved on in 6 months?
Texas, Florida, Oklahoma.
The rural parts.
I don't think it was 6 months. I think Florida had huge spikes in Delta and the Delta variant. And
in large part, life resumed faster than in other parts of the country.
Yeah, because
the places that keep beating the COVID drum.
Less populated in dense areas where like the spread of COVID is not as high as it is in a place like DC or a place like New York or a place like,
There's more.
Los
Okay,
Angeles.
but the number of deaths in New York, or the number of deaths overall, still is highest in the elderly, right, and the immune deficient, right?
Yeah.
Florida has more of those than anywhere except New York, right? And New York is outpacing them in deaths. Like the numbers, when you start slicing it into them, right? Like there's more old people in Florida that are golfing and living their life just fine. And I think it has more to do actually with the weather than people realize
I was
too.
gonna say, give us a couple, give us March, April. Things are gonna
No, but next year we're gonna do this again.
In the fall, yeah.
Like every time
there's an election.
Like when I sneezed 5 minutes ago, everyone's like, "Oh, that's it, right?"
No,
your boy's done.
Come October, November next year, we're gonna be dealing with this again.
No, we're not, Razzle, because there's an election, and that's why the masks are coming off right now.
This guy went the other way, like so fast.
Well, my kids.
By the way, this has been like the most intelligent 10 minutes of DTC talk ever. Just for the record, we taught people about finance. We talked about COVID policy. We got into all kinds of things. No, but listen, if you don't understand hyperinflation, you need to you need to understand what's happening to the value of your cash. Right? I mean, this is a real problem. This is a real problem. Like we're all head of households here. Like this literally impacts everyone, including your boy Dan Snyder, right? Right? All his piles of money. All his piles of money are worth a little bit less.
Dan Snyder. He's okay.
So, look, do you believe that the Washington franchise is the 7th most value? I don't buy that. Like I just don't buy that valuation.
Why not?
Because no one knows about the Commanders or the Redskins or the football team outside of they're not a national brand anymore, right? Like nobody cares about Redskins, Cowboys. No one they're not a national brand. And on the international stage, there's nothing marketable about it's the capital team, yes, but there's nothing here.
Yeah, but are the Dolphins
no? But Miami's a destination, baby.
Is localized to who they are.
No, there's some teams that transcend that, right? Even when they're bad.
The Patriots and
the Cowboys. The Cowboys are universal. The 49ers are universal. The Packers are universal.
What do you mean universal? They know
about
them?
It means if you pick a random German guy off the street, like some sports nut in Germany, and be like, "Can you name an NFL team?" They're going to name 10 before they get to the Commanders.
I don't think
maybe
that
15.
Makes the Packers more valuable. I think what's valuable is they sell merchandise. They
but
tickets.
I mean, we have collectively not purchased that much merchandise, right? We get some.
I don't think we're the target audience.
Did you get us any Commander stuff, Joe?
Yeah, we put in for beanies and hats.
Okay,
I got you.
The weather's turning. Okay,
it takes some time. I mean, they gotta print them. They're still printing the Sean Taylor commemorative stuff. Or we're just getting in the queue here. We're just getting in the queue. I don't buy the valuation. I just don't. And FB had a great little conspiracy theory himself last week that this is all just a ploy to eventually move the team to London. Right? Like Commanders fits great in London, right? The London Commanders fits great.
We'd never move the team away from DC.
I'm sure Dan Snyder would love that legacy.
Listen, James Bond is 007, right? He's Commander Bond in the Her Majesty's Secret Service. It's a perfect fit. The Commanders fit in London. And then we can start over here.
After we just had a hyperinflation conversation, this was a dumb
What? You don't think there's a chance he moves the team?
No,
I
don't know why an NFL franchise would be in London.
Do you think Bezos would want to buy this team? You think Bezos could buy this team?
That's the better question.
He's going to buy, yeah.
Or Elon?
What are the betting odds for who's in the lead to buy this team? If Dan Snyder sold the team tomorrow or announced he was selling the team, who would be in the running besides Ronnie Mervis?
No, it's Bezos.
Yeah. The Amazon money is tremendous. Maybe Elon.
Elon has no interest.
The West Coast guy.
Yeah, Bezos has the interest, has the ties to DC.
He needs the good press.
Right. I mean, he's out there
owns the press.
On his roids and on those boats.
Did he take?
I mean, Jeff Bezos. If you all are, I know you guys aren't as DCers as I am, but there was a huge protest. Jeff Bezos donated, I think, $2.7 million to the National African American Museum, and they were going to name the theater after him. Everybody stood up in protest saying absolutely not. and so the museum decided to name it after. Oh, I just lost the name.
Whoopi Goldberg.
Is an African American who's not Whoopi Goldberg.
Did she get canned? She should have gotten canned.
Oh, you're cool with canceling Whoopi Goldberg. It's very consistent of you, Joe.
Oh my God, Joe.
Aren't you the one that said Holocaust takes shouldn't be allowed?
I agree, but I think
Okay.
you're the one that said nobody should be canceled.
Yeah, I mean, no, I don't want her to be canceled. She won't be canceled.
The most disappointing thing, I told this to Razzle last night, the most disappointing thing about Joe Rogan, what's going on with him, is that all the guys he stood up for over the years have not stood up to support him. And I'm calling out Dave Chappelle. And
Dave Chappelle will hear you loud and clear on the
I'm
podcast.
sure he's a frequent listener to this. So, Dave, if you're listening, that's what these guys need to do, especially a guy like Chappelle.
But the problem is now that like people started to piece together, the N-word clip for Rogan, and like nobody that talks that we saw that here in DC with my guy Chad, right? Somebody clipped a couple things here and there, and boom, he's done. It happens. It happens.
Did everyone a favor.
Listen, context.
It's the best show on
king, Joe.
It was the best show.
The question is the context. It's not about how many times you say the word. It's the context.
So, is it okay when you sing or rap along with a song? Right? We saw that happen with the Virginia Tech soccer team or whatever. The girls were all
soccer team. Yeah.
Yeah, they were just rapping along with a song. Somebody posted, and everybody gets fired. Right, and then everybody has to resign in disgrace and whatever. Like, we can't be a society where you're not allowed to express yourself or make a mistake. Like, what's left at that point?
You have a point there. I'm with you there.
Sheeple.
I mean, it's scary. Like, we're all trying to raise kids, man. Like, how do you raise them in this current environment? I don't know. But look, I don't know how we ended up here. I think we started all of this with.
Before we wrap up with
Goodell
Super Bowl predictions.
We did it already.
We already did it.
We already did it. We did everything. Man. We're pushing. This is a fat show here. Going an hour 15. It could be the beginning of the end for Snyder, and it just looks like it. It looks like people are starting to distance themselves. He looked like a schmuck last week when he did his press conference. The first time anyone's heard him talk in forever. He continues to be quiet. Like, he would not want to talk to media. Like, he hasn't done himself any favors. He doesn't have any friends in the town. Which is crazy that somebody who owns a team in the city, like, he doesn't have a single person to confide in. He doesn't have a single person on the media beat to talk to. Like, that's crazy, guys.
Come on, I think him and Tanya are happy.
Apparently, Tanya is the one that 86th the really nice uniforms and kits for the less nice ones. The pants look like pajama pants. Like, they need something, man. Like, they look weird with no stripe. But
you guys see Aaron Rodgers won MVP? He just came out today.
I'm watching your boy JaVale McGee on my screen here. That dude gets uglier and uglier.
I know we were talking about Joe Rogan. I mean, we're going on an hour 15. Okay, we're getting into Rogan territory here. Okay?
It's nice, baby. Just let the conversation flow.
I don't know how he does these 3-hour shows.
You're exhausted.
There's no commercial breaks, right? I mean, like, my voice is starting to hurt. Like, this is long. This is long.
You speaking of Joe Rogan, Aaron Rodgers, did you see the Aziz Ansari special on Netflix? I told you about it last night, Steve.
I know. I need to get on my list.
It's 30 minutes.
Wait, didn't he get canceled?
He got canceled. He's back.
Okay.
No, it's very funny. 30 minutes, easy watch.
About?
He didn't get canceled. He
got called out. Yeah. I mean,
that's not canceled, Joe.
It was the Me Too. It was Me Too movement. Yeah. I think Me Too got
that's a legitimate thing.
He's no longer. He doesn't live in the States anymore.
There's also some documentary that I thought of, Stevie. Some thing that's everybody's all hyped up about.
I know
the Tinder swindler.
The Tinder swindler.
Don't associate me with that.
Yeah. I'm gonna change your handle the next time we go live on Facebook. I'm changing the name on the little box. I mean, I watch it or not?
The guy was on Tinder when the documentary came out.
Well, I don't know. I don't have any context here. I have no context.
Oh, I mean, I'm not going to spoil it for everybody. Everybody should watch it. The guy was still on the app. Tinder didn't even know about it until they saw the documentary.
He's just hooking up with women and taking money from them?
He wasn't even hooking up. Like, it wasn't a sexual thing. It was a financial thing.
So what, it's the equivalent of like
It's a Ponzi
the
scheme.
junk mail that we used to get in Hotmail accounts from like the African crown prince of whatever, like send me money.
Much more sophisticated, much more legit. It was a Ponzi scheme.
Was he selling phone cards? Like, just tell me how do you do it?
Watch the documentary.
You don't want to spoil it for our listeners.
Exactly. What if Dave Chappelle's listening?
I'm sure he's seen it. Is it worth my time?
Yeah, well, your time ain't that
Yeah,
valuable.
I mean, what else are you going to do? Hanging out with Chad Duke?
Hey, listen,
Joe,
I had a
listen, I'll
great
give
time.
You, a plug.
You guys are assholes for not
listened-
coming with me. It was great.
No, I don't know what you're even talking about, but I listened
The
to
bourbon
your
event.
Duke show
Yeah.
with you and as a guy named Monk.
Yeah. Money Monk. Monk's Barbecue.
You guys are building a bowling alley.
So we're trying. Yeah. Yeah.
Tell Raz.
Oh, guy, listen, it's not just a bowling. It's not just a bowling alley. It's a barbecue restaurant that has a bowling alley, has a grooming lounge, teleworkspace, and apparently, according to Dukes, no kids are allowed, which means it'll make no money.
I heard him say that only Joe's kids are allowed.
Only my 12 kids are allowed. Yes, that's
what he
what that was
said.
his exact plug. Yeah,
You, are you a third investor in this?
I mean, I don't know how it's going to stay afloat if bowling alleys only make money when kids go to bowl.
Have
right?
you guys heard of Bolero or whatever?
Yes, of
Already
Already
course.
out there.
Yeah.
No, but the idea here is that there's no good barbecue outside of a handful. So this is a barbecue restaurant that has bowling. It's not a bowling alley with barbecue.
Why not just open a barbecue restaurant?
Well, Monk already has that. He has the best one in the area.
Where?
Percival, Peeville.
That's not the area.
Percival.
I mean, it's far. That's why it was like we need something in Reston, like somewhere closer in where you can do this. But and then there was an idea floating around too about like incorporating like some type of membership where you just pay some amount and you just go as much as you want.
Like WeWork.
Yeah. Well, that was my whole thing. Like WeWork, I don't know how WeWork is. You used to be at WeWork. How did they stay in business at this point?
I am still at WeWork. What do you mean?
Do you still have an office?
They're about to collapse.
I mean, is the Tinder thing better or worse than the
Adam Newman?
Adam Newman story? Because that was
WeWork one that was legit. That was Fire Festival level stuff right there.
We need a good documentary. That's what we need. All right, I'll give this.
Of DTC?
No, I'm saying in general. Like we had like those back to back.
The 30 for 30. I know Steve, we were talking about this. The 30 for 30, the tuck rule. It wasn't worth your time.
No, I don't care
That's
about
not
that.
good.
The Man in the
surprised
Arena, I
you
don't
didn't
care
watch
about.
it,
No.
No, Man in the Arena is good.
It's like Detail or Muse or all that. Like I don't need the more nuance into football. I don't care that much. I like watching the game. I don't like. I'm not at that level where I need the behind the scenes. I like the Manning telecast. I need more of those.
They just renewed till 2024.
I'm still a little Ricky though that they didn't do the Washington game.
Because it's not a premier game.
You don't need to worry about that next year. We ain't going to be on Monday night.
Yeah.
Did you see that there's a rumor of Kirk heading to Denver?
I saw a rumor that
Cousins
he was
headed
going
to Denver?
Cleveland.
I saw Cleveland swapping with Seattle.
I thought Cleveland swapping with Minnesota. I didn't see this yet. Yeah.
Is Baker that good though, or is it just a lot of commercials and hype?
It's a lot of commercials. He can.
I don't know.
can
Is
be
he
a
that
good
much better than
quarterback
like
on a good
Menzel?
team. He needs a good team. He needs defense. He needs a running game.
So why not
He
just
needs
go with
weapons.
Garoppolo at that point? Just give me Garoppolo.
So he's actually. I would put him on par with Garoppolo. I put him at the same tier.
But Garoppolo's gonna be less headache.
Yeah. He's such a nice guy.
You're big on the nice guy thing. I mean, Razzle just wants all nice people.
Give me to Washington. I'm good. You can be my first Commanders quarterback.
Do you guys have any final thoughts? We're pushing an hour 20 on this big fat episode.
It's bittersweet coming up this weekend, knowing that it's going to be. I think it's going to be a great game. I think it's going to be a close one. Two great offenses, two great quarterbacks, but it's just bittersweet knowing that football's coming to an end.
Hey.
We've had football for so long.
Brother.
We had the USFL too.
Well, first off, baseball's not coming anytime soon.
Baseball doesn't look like it's coming back, Stevie.
Yeah.
Hey, there will be an offer by the owners on Saturday. That's the thing to watch out for.
Wasn't Max clear about this? We don't need whatever.
Max, talk about somebody I don't care about.
Just like that.
I told you, Max is gonna have a terrible season. You just wait. It's like my Bengals prediction. We'll see what
And
the
your
owners
Cowboys
do
prediction.
Oh my Cowboys. Hey, we'll see. Baseball, if they can get a deal going. I don't know why I'm blanking on the commissioner's name. Manfred today said that he needs 4 weeks of spring training, and he said that starting the season late would be a disaster. So that leaves, beginning of March. They have until probably March 1 to get a deal done. So clock's running. Let's see what they come up with.
If you had to bet on it, though, they'll make a deal.
Yeah.
There's too much money. There's too much money to not be earned by all
parties. I
think
the players will cave with a deal.
And they should, frankly. I mean, I think what the owners offered was... Anyway, what do I know? All right, boys. Anything else, Stevie?
No.
Are you sure?
I'm not the Tinder swindler.
Let's just leave that there until I'm gonna watch it. We'll see. But
if somebody makes it to the end of the show, they get the spoiler alert. Okay,
I'll report back on numbers. I'll let's see how we do in the between an hour 5 and an hour 20 when it's all said and done. We shall see. But you're on the Rams, and Razzle, you're on the Rams as well. I'm on the Bengals. We'll see what happens.
Are we watching together?
Yeah.
We're all going to be the same place?
Where are we going to go? Tell me. Oh, yeah. Yes, we are. Yes, in Vienna. Yeah. I think.
Right, don't punk out on me and leave.
I think first. Yeah, we have to. What do you do with your kids? You got to leave at halftime. I mean, why did they start the game so late?
Isn't that why God created wives? It's 2 cars, brother.
They should move the game to Saturday.
No, they just make it at a normal time. Make it at 3.
No, I mean, it's in LA. What do you mean make it at 3? It's going to be a noon game?
4. They play literally 17 games at that time slot.
You got to play under the lights. You sit there and play.
They're in a dome.
No, they need to move it to Saturday. What's the extra day? I don't like.
Why the Saturday thing?
So that the next day is not a work day.
Well, I mean, they're 1 week away now from President's Day.
Razzle sleeps in every Sunday.
That's what the plan.
They need one more, right? They need to do one more click.
Well, the plan is to add an 18th game eventually. I don't know if it's next year or the year after.
Well, if they do that, then it's perfect because then
that's where it lines up to President's Day. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, look at we got football halfway through February now. So,
yeah.
Although you could debate that the playoff product was not that first, Team 7 is not that valuable in the grand scheme.
No, Team 7 sucks. But it's an extra game, and then you get a divisional weekend like we got. We'll take it.
We'll see. There's just so much is going to happen. But look, the big story after this weekend is going to be what happens with Dan, and we can shift to the Wizards and the Capitals. The Capitals, I think, will be fine. Ultimately, they have a star. They're a known commodity. But for right now, it is Super Bowl. The Thursday before the Super Bowl. So the picks have been made. The bets are locked in. I'll see you boys on Sunday. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for recording. This has been Defeating the Curse. You can search DTC or Defeating the Curse on any social media platform, on anywhere you get your podcasts. So that could be Spotify, that can be Google, that can be Apple iTunes, whatever. Just search DTC Defeating the Curse. The show will pop up. Click subscribe. Send us a comment. Say hello. Happy to have anybody join the show if you want to chime in. We have, I think we have a phone number that you can call as well. I'll put that in the description. Thank you all for hanging out with us. A big fat one, pushing an hour and 30 minutes. It's nice to have Stevie and Razzle in the studio and get this one out. Should be a good game on Sunday. And check back in after that game. We'll do a post game, and then we'll switch gears and continue to cover the Commanders, the Wizards, the Caps, and hopefully the Nationals soon. So lots coming. Until next time, DTC, my name is Joe. We're out.